It keeps getting worse for the Buccaneers. Another injury that we're going to have to discuss. One to a star player, one of the biggest pieces on this Buccaneers roster, is now dealing with an injury after the Eagles game. And now Bucs fans, the team itself, they're working through how we're going to have to adjust to this new found injury. I'm Sebastian with Buccaneers Digest. What another fun video to talk about. The Buccaneers sure have caught the injury bug this year. A little bit more on that later because I do want to talk about, just the team's culture and just how they can kind of readjust in terms of what the outlook is right now. But subscribe, like, comment, all those good things. How you're feeling? I obviously it was a good fight against the Eagles, like we've talked about. Definitely showed that we're right up there with them with the injuries that we had with the refs and all that stuff. So it's there's still a lot of good takeaways from this. This update, though, not the most fun thing to talk about, but it's not horrible either. We'll get into it, but it's just one of those things that kind of have to push through and make sure that we understand where we're at right now. So Adam Schefter did have an update this morning. He said at first he said that Bucky Irving is dealing with a foot sprain. He was spotted today at practice. They were doing walkthroughs. He was on crutches in a walking boot. So that is a pretty not a good sight for anyone who has Bucky on their fantasy team, anyone who just cares about Bucky as a person and just is really excited to watch him play. But then Schefter later reported after that, he said the Buccaneers do not fear Bucky Irving's foot sprain is a long-term injury. Kind of weirdly worded there, but the team considers it a week-to-week injury. There's another update on that later on, not from Schefter, but a different source on the week-to-week aspect of it. But again, the most important aspect of this update is that the Buccaneers do not fear Bucky is, his foot sprain is long-term. So they're still evaluating it, still seeing how things are working out. But again, it sucks. Bucky suffered this injury a little bit early in the game, but then later on he was able to have like a 70+ yard touchdown run, so it clearly wasn't hindering him too much. But these things tend to linger. They tend to frustrate players, and it's going to be something that you want to stamp out and prevent from getting any worse, because these injuries can get worse, definitely if you aggravate them. So that's just kind of what the Buccaneers are doing right now. They're being precautious. They are making sure he's not putting any weight on it, even in a walkthrough. So he's on crutches and a walking boot. So just really letting it heal as much as it can, and they'll keep evaluating him there. But this comes as another unfortunate blow, because boy oh boy have the Buccaneers been dealing with tons of injuries this season. Starting in preseason, we were getting a lot of our young rookie players getting hurt or put out for the season, and then going into we were all excited about Wirfs and Godwin coming back, but then Evans goes out with an injury. Gadecki is now on IR. Jalen McMillan, we won't get him back till after halfway point in the season, and many more. Cansey, Cody Mock. It's just like the list goes on. And I'm sure Bucs fans are tired of seeing videos and updates about these injuries. We're just kind of like, okay, when can we stop the bleeding? How can we patch this up? And I know a lot of people want to focus on is there someone to blame for this? They want an enemy to point fingers at, and I understand it. It's a very human response to want to put all this frustration and anger out on a boogeyman. But really, in the end, football is football. It is a heavy contact sport. Sometimes injuries affect teams more than other teams. And so I wanted to talk about just how injury-riddled teams. What can you do when you're clearly that's become kind of the story around your team in a season. And the Lions last year, that was definitely something that they were dealing with. They lost Aiden Hutchinson pretty early on, and their defense was just ravaged with injuries to the point where it's like they were just trying to get off the field without allowing a touchdown every drive. And their offense was having to do some heavy lifting. Obviously, it got exposed in the playoffs against Washington, but that's just the thing is they still had the best record in the NFC. They were surprised by Washington when they got knocked out, and a lot of people would say that the injuries caught up to them. but also they were able to win so many games despite the injuries. The resiliency in that team, they had the best record in Lions history despite everything. And that's kind of what I want to emphasize here, that it is a mentality aspect of it. Obviously, Dan Campbell, for the coach of the Lions, he has one of the best cultures going right now in football and in sports in general with the Lions. And, it's the next man up mentality. The Bucs, a lot of players, Baker Mayfield, Todd Bowles, they've all talked about resiliency being a core theme for this Buccaneers team. That, we trust whoever we have. We're going to go out with the guys. We're going to go to war, go to battle, and we're going to fight till the end. And, I think a lot of us can appreciate just how well they lived up to those words so far this year. Even despite the loss against the Eagles, a lot of us are feeling that we should have won that game. So it's on to the next one. We're playing another good team in Seattle. So it's going to be not an easy one, but the Bucs have a chance. But regarding Bucky Irving, it's still a loss that you really do not want to have to deal with. So StatMuse posted that in his last 3 games, Bucky had 121 yards in week 2, 99 total yards in week 3, and 165 total yards in week 4 against the Eagles. He leads the NFL in both categories in that span. So in terms of touches and yards. So yeah, you don't want to lose that kind of caliber of a player, when you're going to be going into a tough stretch of games against some really high quality playoff caliber teams. So it's, there's no easy way to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a hard thing to overcome, when you're losing, now we don't have Mike Evans. We might not have Bucky Irving against Seattle. I emphasize might because we also have another update to talk about that, that leaves the door open a little bit. It's not completely out of the question that he'll be, playing on Sunday. So, but still, he is electric. I don't really need to say something about Bucky that most people don't already know. I already think that he is one of the most exciting players that the Bucs have had maybe ever. I mean, he runs like Barry Sanders. He never likes to go down on first contact. He's making guys getting juked out of their shoes. It feels like he's always doing something new. Just wait, he's gonna hurdle somebody. I promise you. I don't know if I want him to, just considering his size, but he's going to. I know he will. But the foot injury might prevent him from doing it anytime soon. We'll see. But the next part of this injury, let's get to it. Greg Allman, Peter Report said that Todd Bowles says that they're taking it day by day with Bucky Irving. So that's different from what Schefter said because they said week by week, but Bowles said day by day. But he did emphasize if he's in a boot still on Friday, then he probably won't play. So that's the big part of this is that they have to figure out like, okay, what does this look like on Friday? So we have the next 2 days where Bucky's just going to be figuring out how he feels. I think the competitor is he's going to want to play because he knew he could play against the Eagles, but it's just a matter of how it's healing, how the tests, the MRIs are showing up, all this stuff. Everyone's talking about it right now on Twitter and everything because no one wants to see him hurt. Everyone wants to see him play. And but we also have to make sure that he plays for the whole season. And we don't want to, hurt him again while he's healing and then make the injury even worse. So that's got to balance these things. We can win absolutely with the 2 backup running backs that we have in Rachaad White and Sean Tucker. Sean has not really been getting many touches this season. So it's kind of like a weird thing there that like Rashaad's been getting some good stuff in there. Rachaad got that game-winning touchdown against the Texans in the last second. But as the lead back, let's just be honest. He's not as shifty. He's not as fast as Bucky. He just doesn't have the moveset that he does. He's still very good. He's a great pass-catching back, very good in pass blocking. So there's a lot of things that are exciting about him. And Sean Tucker, I do want to say, he looked really good in preseason. He has a burst about him that is really, really exciting, similar to Bucky in a lot of ways. Very explosive runner, so he'll be the one that'll be taking some of those reps, so that Rachaad and Sean are switching off. But it's not really possible to replace Bucky's his production. It's just too it's too special. But I do want to emphasize that I think it is possible to win with these guys. So back to what Greg Allman was saying, Rachaad White would be the primary back in Irving's absence. In the Bucs' first 4 games, White has 89 offensive snaps, while Tucker only has 3. Tucker has shown that he can step up and handle a larger role in limited opportunities over the last 2 seasons, though. And that's just an important part to really emphasize, is that Rachaad White and Bucky have a really good relationship so far. We haven't extended Rachaad White because he is in a contract year. There is a possibility that we'll be moving on from him after this year. But this is an opportunity for him, especially if Bucky's not playing. We will be seeing Rachaad White featured a lot more. And we've won with him in the past. I want to shout out the fact that Sean Tucker had a really good game against New Orleans last year. It was that was like the full trio game where it was like Bucky, Rachaad, and Sean Tucker were all doing awesome, crazy things in that game where we put up over 50 points on the Saints. So now that it's going to be limited possibly to just Rachaad and Sean, they have to really, take advantage of the situation and not, use it as like we can't keep creating excuses for ourselves. Our whole team mentality has been next man up, next person up. The Lions, if Gibbs went down, Montgomery would step up. We know this, and I have the same faith here that Rachaad White and Sean Tucker will take advantage of their situation. It's just a matter of limiting the mistakes and making sure that you're still able to go maybe a bit longer than you would have in other games. That endurance is really, really important. So that's currently where the update is on how Bucky is doing and just what we'll be seeing for the rest of this week, just monitoring that situation. And but the question is for you guys, how are you feeling now just about this injury bug? I know people are like, oh, let's change our conditioning staff, let's change our health staff, or whatever it is. I've actually seen a lot of videos and content from the Buccaneers. A lot of people they really focus. They even measure the sweat from the Buccaneers players. They actually really do look closely in on these guys and help them along the way. Sometimes it's just the injury bug gets you and it's not in your favor. Now you don't want it to snowball. You want to stop it in its tracks somehow because everyone wants a solution. They don't want to just shrug their shoulders and deal with it. But I also understand that I don't think it's the team's fault. I think that it's just an unfortunate situation. Todd Bowles even mentioned he is concerned because they're running out of bodies to put on the field, and they're having to sign practice players, practice squad players, and all kinds of stuff. Constant elevations, constant scouting other teams' practice squads and all that stuff. So just it's a situation that we're gonna have to work through. It's just a matter of can we as fans be as resilient as the team is right now, as they're trying to be. And I think it's possible. We just have to keep supporting. We have to be, very, encouraged by just the effort that the guys are putting out there. Baker seemed in relatively high spirits. He's excited to go against Sam Darnold because of their history in Carolina together. He had a funny quote about saying, he was asked about the good old days with Carolina, and he was like, the what days? So he seems like he's in good spirits, and we should take that, as a note to try and stay in good spirits. Let's try and get this win because we are still favored to win this game, even if it's in Seattle. But the Seahawks, they're no slouch. They will give us a fight. There will be people who will be picking against us just because of all our injuries, and we're gonna have to rise above it. And I think we will. So yeah. Anyway, the question though is, how are you feeling about the injuries? How do you feel about Bucky potentially missing the game? Do you have confidence in Rachaad White and Sean Tucker to take his place and help us get a win on Sunday? Where is your confidence level on those two? But overall, what are your feelings on that? Comment below, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will keep updating as we go along, get closer to Seattle. We will be doing, I want to keep saying this in every video, we will be doing a live stream for that game. It's at 4:05 p.m. Eastern time, and we will be starting just as the game started right here. So make sure you're subscribed, notifications are on, all that stuff, so you know when we're getting rolling with that, and we'll be doing it right here. So anyway, until next time, I'll see you in the next video.